Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. I'm your host, Jess. After an overtime classic performance by Johnny Gaudreau, the Flames have solidified their spot in the playoff picture for the Pacific Division. Let's get into it.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jess of the Metropolitan Riveters PR team. I've been covering the NHL now for a few years, and I'm very happy to be your host of Locked On Flames. How are you today? Thank you so much for making Locked On Flames your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever you prefer. And it is free 99 wherever you consume our content. So, vintage Johnny, we need to talk about this for a second, okay? Johnny Gaudreau just has taken off this month, and New Year reinvented himself. He had a fantastic overtime goal that put the Flames over the Vancouver Canucks Saturday night, and I swear to goodness, 19 points in January is incredible for anyone, and that's more than a point per game. And I think that he is really coming alive now that he has strong line mates, and it's been fantastic to watch. And I thought that the game against Vancouver was a very interesting one. And the conversation regarding the Flames needing more scoring, I agree, but we'll dive into that probably later this week when we dissect the trade deadline. And, Markstrom earned his 7th shutout, second in a week. So, I'll have an apology coming later for him, that's for sure. But Canucks had 18 minutes, 18 penalty minutes, 5 of those being for Tyler Myers' intentional hit to the head on Trevor Lewis, which that was quite an ugly hit. I went back and watched it while outlining today's show, and I don't know if he'll have a hearing for that or what, but it was just an ugly hit. And Trevor Lewis came back, but anything involving head injuries is just not for me. I think it's terrifying after seeing my own close friends and family have issues with concussions. It's absolutely terrifying, but I'm glad Trevor Lewis came back for that, and he was, able to perform the rest of the game. I was a little bit perplexed by how low scoring of a game it was, and I truly didn't see this one going to overtime. I would have thought the game against Columbus or the Panthers in more recent games would have gone to overtime instead of this one, considering the type of hockey the Canucks are playing. But, I'm just happy that they were able to squeeze out 2 points against a division rival, because playing in the Flames playing their own division this year has just been atrocious, especially when they play California teams, specifically San Jose. If you want, I will find the episode of Locked On Sharks I was on and just how bad it was. Not the episode, the game, but it was brutal. But I wanted to break down the sequence of Johnny's overtime goal, because I feel, and I hate when people say things like, no one's talking about XYZ, but I feel like truly there is not a large enough conversation surrounding Johnny Gaudreau's growth as a two-way player since being bumped up to the second line. And so this sequence starts by, the Canucks driving the puck down, I almost said down the field. Watched a lot of football this weekend, if you can't tell. Down the ice, and Gaudreau and Lindholm are out there, overtime, whatever. And then Gaudreau just like effortlessly steals the puck and starts bringing it back up towards, Vancouver's net, and passes it to Lindholm. He gets it back and he just buries it. And the two-way forward ability from him is just so nice to see. And I think that a lot of players, like, there's just like this emphasis from fans that, you have to just be like this offense scoring machine. Like, you can't be anything else unless you're Ryan O'Reilly or Patrice Bergeron, like the noted Selke winners. But I don't think that that's true. And to be quite honest, I think that there are plenty of forwards out there who do need to improve on their defensive game. And I'm not saying that, they need to like get in the way and start blocking shots, but I think that being able to, generate a turnover and a takeaway is very important, especially if it's overtime and you want to avoid a skills competition. But like I mentioned, we'll break down the the stats and the scoring problems heading into later this week as the All-Star break is upon us, and we will be looking for plenty of things to talk about. But the Flames, coming out of the weekend with a win. I'm very, very happy, and they are back in a playoff spot at the All-Star break. So that's always nice to see. And they if you're watching on YouTube, I use quotes because I don't know who they are or how this started, but they say the teams in the playoff picture by the All-Star break are usually the ones that are going to get there. So, good on the Flames for garnering those extra points as they move forward because of all those missed games in December. Coming up next, I am going to apologize to the Flames' holy goaltender, Jacob Markstrom, because I had my doubts and he proved me wrong. So, before we can dive into that and me owning my mistakes, let's talk about Built Bar. Built Bar is a delicious tasting protein bar that I keep with me all the time to get me through my days because I don't always have time to stop and cook a meal. And that's just the life of a daily podcaster, content creator, full-time student, and a human being. So when you're hungry and you're on the go, grab a Built Bar with the delicious tasting protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, and you can get them for 15% off at built.com with promo code LOCKED15. They have a variety of different flavors, and I think that since they've kind of like sponsored some of our shows, they have grown so much. Like, there's a lot of different variety now. And I love that you can order variety packs. So head on over to built.com today and use promo code LOCKED15 to order your favorite flavors or order a variety pack to figure out your favorite flavor. Locked On Flames continues. Thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your day. We're the only daily Flames podcast, and it makes me happy to have y'all sticking around. So thank you so much. And I will pass this over to the flame of the day, which is Island Margarita, because I woke up this morning and it was 3 degrees outside, 3 degrees Fahrenheit. And I don't know about you, but that's too cold for me to do anything. But you know what else? I owe Jacob Markstrom an apology. Like, that's quite the segue there. I apologize. But Jacob Markstrom, I spoke too soon. He was showing signs of fatigue. He was showing signs of, maybe an injury. Was kind of letting some softies in there. But then he earned 2 shutouts in the same week and proved me wrong. His stats, like, I hadn't looked at his stats for quite some time, but Even with those high-scoring games, he, still has a fantastic save percentage, which is, 924, and his goals against average is so much lower than what I thought it was going to be, which is a 2.15. You know, when we talk about Vezina competition, the trophy and contenders, that's the word I'm looking for, Vezina contenders, there's always the same names brought up. Connor Hellebuck, Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't know how he's doing in Chicago, but oh my gosh, Spencer Knight. I think Sergei Bobrovsky. There's always the goaltenders. But I think that we need to talk about Carey Price. I mean, Carey Price. My God, no. Good God, Jacob Markstrom. I don't know why I was thinking about Carey Price, but yeah, no, Jacob Markstrom is our goaltender, and I'm blown away that he is the goaltender that he is for this team. And I mean, I am not a lifelong suffering Calgary Flames fan by any means, but the 2 seasons that I covered, or no, really just the 1 season I covered with Riddick in net and Cam Talbot, that was painful. That was very painful, and I can't imagine doing this year after year. So, congratulations to actual lifelong suffering Flames fans who, finally have faith in their goaltender. And I think that this whole team is going to benefit from the break. I don't blame them. I think that it has been quite a chaotic first half of the season. It's obviously been competitive, but they've also dealt with an entire virus outbreak, and then they were shut down, tried to bounce back from that. And they did, but they stumbled along the way. But it's never been to the point where I think that there's a goaltending controversy or where I don't think Markstrom can do his job. I think that it was responsible of me to speculate there was an injury or some sort of tiredness because it's a pattern of behavior. It was a discussion being held. There was discourse surrounding it on Flames Twitter, and I do love Flames Twitter, so I have to give them credit for being able to pick up on those behaviors because there's too much going on during a hockey game for me to be able to be like, aha. Do love good internet sleuthing though. He has had a strong first half of the season, and I don't necessarily think that he's done anything wrong. There's a good defense out in front of him. Do I think that sometimes the forwards are a little bit stronger at defense than maybe their third pairing? Yeah, and things like that happen. But even Markstrom gave credit to his defense, and he said, I think it goes to show that it's the team out in front of me and things like that when asked about his 7th shutout. So credits due where credits earned, and I think that it'll be a great just time to rest. I know personally, after long stretches, I work retail over the holiday, I was working 40 hours a week on top of doing this podcast and other responsibilities, and I was tired. Now, Markstrom has clocked 1,800 minutes this first half of the season, so that's a lot. And compared to Vladar's 550, so they haven't really been going 1 for 1 or implementing Vladar anywhere in there to get reps. So I think it's probably going to take a toll on Markstrom at one point or another, but I apologize to Markstrom and everybody else who was doubting my doubts. But coming up next, we will absolutely be checking in with the baby Flames because it has been quite some time since we have done that, and we love talking about the future of this team and maybe some prospects that we can package up in a deal. Maybe. Locked On Flames continues. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. So, the Stockton Heat are back in their regular Pacific Division. There is something called the North Division in AHL hockey, and I was very confused because I was like expecting to see the Flames or the Heat rather, and I was like, wait a second. No, because they are in California. But sometimes I just have those brain farts, and I'm sure we all do. Uh, but it's been a while since we've talked about these guys, and let's give them a round of applause for their 24-7-3 season. Pretty impressive. They lead their division, and they currently have 6 players with double-digit goals. Matthew Phillips, Glenn Gaudin, Jacob Pelletier, and Byron Froze. I always want to say Froze. Justin Kirkland and Adam Ruzicka. Ruzicka. I'm so sorry. And no other team in the AHL has more than 4. So that is quite impressive. I would like to, say that Stockton is a good, launching pad for our little baby Flames. And so this is all information I grabbed from Stockton's website that just had like a bunch of notes in it. So I'm just reading just like stuff from there. So Stockton is a perfect 10 for 10, bouncing back from losses this season. Martin Pospisil and Justin Kirkland have set new career highs for themselves with goals. So that's quite impressive. You always love to see that. And Jacob Pelletier had a game-winning goal on Friday, and that was his 5th of the season, and that leads the team in game-winning goals for the season. So he now has 9 points on game-winning goals this year. So that's quite impressive. And you just, I think that he's probably going to be one of the next names up. I don't really think that there's a lot of spots for players right now. And we've talked about that on Twitter, and we see it quite often discussed when talking about the next man up. So we'll have to see. Speaking of someone who's been up and down between Stockton and Calgary, Valimaki, who had just come back from a lower body injury, has been suspended for abuse of an official. So I know that emotions run high. I know that we can say things in the heat of the moment. I'm the queen of just not filtering, especially when I'm upset. But we need to work on that because that's not fair to the officials. I don't think that anyone who is just like trying to do their job should be like screamed at. It's different when it's balls and strikes and an ump is blatantly missing the calls, and then you see your manager get in their face, and if you like touch the ump, you get tossed. But I mean, it's a matter of controlling yourself and discipline. So maybe he uses this time to reflect and works on himself. Obviously you never want anyone to just like not be working on themselves. But unfortunately, abuse of an official is not okay. Fortunately, it's not okay, and players are held accountable. I hope that Valimaki's season kind of turns around from this because he has just kind of been in flux. He's been fluctuating, in flux because of his just lack of development. And in terms of players kind of getting that next call up, I don't know when the next roster spot will be available. I don't know if, the waiver line, if that is ever going to be solved or resolved, anything, like if there's any movement with that. but I just have to think about, these players who are producing. When are they going to get their shot? When are you going to say, hey, Brett Ritchie, why don't you sit this one out? Matthew Phillips, come up. We're going to work on integrating you into our lineup, especially because he is producing and leads the team with 13 goals. Now, I'm not saying that success is going to immediately transfer over, but I do think that it is an important discussion to have because these players are, the future of the team, and unfortunately, there's just not much of an opportunity to move them up at the moment. And I think that next season's training camp will be an interesting time, especially if you do have vacancies in your top line. If Gaudreau leaves, if Kachuk walks, things like that. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. And again, these are more conversations that we will absolutely be having throughout the season and throughout the All-Star break. So make sure that you are following Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, following me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. If you're watching on YouTube, it is right on the screen there, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for some more game previews as the team takes on the Dallas Stars.